Hey, what's up, guys? So a fight to unify the 140-pound division is now official. A fight between Jose Carlos Ramirez and Josh Taylor that is going down on May 22nd in Las Vegas. And guess what? It will be non-pay-per-view. It's going to be regular ESPN, ESPN Plus. So this is going to be 2 years in a row that Top Rank has given you guys probably the most important matchup of the year, unifying a division, and it's on regular ESPN/ESPN Plus. In 2020, it was Vasily Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, and now you're going to get Taylor versus Ramirez this year in 2021. Now, it remains to be seen. Maybe later on in the year, we'll have big, important matchups that trump this one. But on paper, in the first half of 2021, the Taylor-Ramirez matchup is absolutely the biggest, most important fight of the year. I'm not necessarily saying it's the biggest stars, okay? I'm saying it's the most important fight that is going to unify the junior welterweight division. The last person to do that was Terrence Crawford, but when he did it, that division was relatively weak at the time. That's not Crawford's fault. He can only fight who you put in front of him. But right now, the 140-pound division is pretty strong, man. And if you look at what these two guys have done here, I just pulled up their resumes real quick. Josh Taylor, of course, went through that tournament, World Boxing Super Series, won the tournament at 140 pounds, beat some domestic level guys early on in his career, handed O'Hara Davies his first loss, popped his bubble, fought guys like Miguel Vasquez, Winston Campos, beat Victor Postol. That was a good win, an underrated win, I think. Ryan Martin popped his O2, gave him his first loss. Ivan Baranchek, same thing. Regis Prograis, all these guys were undefeated when he fought them, and he busted those O's, right? And now he's set up to go up against Ramirez. When you look at his resume, he's got some good wins on there as well. Amir Imam, I think that's a really good win for him. Antonio Orozco, Jose Zepeda. That was a close win, controversial, but boy, has that aged well when you saw what Zepeda did last year in 2020. Also, Maurice Hooker popped that O, gave him his first loss. That's a really, really great win. I want to see how Hooker looks coming up against Virgil Ortiz later this month in Dallas. That's going to be a fun fight. And then Victor Postol, who is still a quality fighter. That's a good win for him. So look, man, Taylor Ramirez is going to unify the 140-pound division on regular ESPN. I think that's going to do numbers with the Mexican-American viewers as well. But of course, the UK viewers are going to be tuning in overseas. And then just with all boxing fans, diehard fight fans, maybe not as many casual fans, but the diehard fight fans are going to tune in, and it's going to build some possible casual fight fans, because being on regular ESPN, that means that fight's going to be on in sports bars and things like that. So people are going to get a chance to see it. And in terms of action, in terms of the matchup itself, the two fighter styles and everything, and where they are at in their career, both these guys are undefeated in their physical prime. They are battle tested. They've had some close calls. They've had some great performances, and they've learned from those close calls to bring out those great performances. I think we're going to get a really good fight here, man. Now, contrast that with the proposed, not yet official, but proposed heavyweight pay-per-view fight between Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz Jr. This is straight up dog shit. Now, in terms of the actual matchup, yeah, it's 5 or 6 years past its due date. This should have been when Chris Arreola was at the tail end of his career, fighting Andy Ruiz coming up. That would have been kind of a passing of the torch in terms of, the Mexican-American fan base, particularly out in Southern California. That would have been a really interesting matchup then. I think that the fight will deliver in terms of action. These guys are all offense. They're going to throw a ton of leather. So it's going to be fun in that respect. Probably going to be in Los Angeles, I would imagine. And that's where PBC has been doing a lot of shows right now. They're a lot of their bubble shows on Fox. So I think that in LA, that makes a lot of sense, obviously, right? And then there's a strong co-feature that they're going to put on that, which will be for the diehard fight freaks, a pretty good fight. But in terms of this thing being on pay-per-view, man, this is a really hard sell. I mean, Andy Ruiz has not fought since he lost the rematch to Anthony Joshua. That was in 2019. That was over a year ago, remember? He was 268 pounds for that first fight, which was kind of a one-hit wonder, let's be honest, where he struck lightning in a bottle. He upsets the world, you know what I'm saying? He shakes up the whole heavyweight division, beats Joshua. But then the rematch, he's 15 pounds heavier. 6 months later, he's 15 pounds heavier, 283 pounds for AJ in that rematch. Looked really, really bad. Did little more than survive in that fight and just cover up, shell up, threw a few punches here and there. But it was pretty much just get that payday and give up those titles, give them right back to AJ. Hasn't done a damn thing since. He has been posting videos and stuff on Instagram of him slimming down, but we've heard this about Andy Ruiz before, man. Those of us especially who come from the Los Angeles or Southern California area, we've known about Andy Ruiz and his reputation for years, right? It's no mystery that the guy's flaky in the gym and everything else. And we've always heard, several times, oh, he's going to get in shape. Now he's going to figure it out. Okay, we'll find out. We'll see. It's going to be easy to look good against Chris Arreola, who's going to be 40 years old by the time these two fight. The proposed date, I think, is in April of when they're going to fight. And Arreola's been beat up. You know what I'm saying? He's been in a lot of tough fights, and he's been knocked out. He's been hurt several times. So it's going to be easy to look good in front of him. But against the top 10, let alone top 20, 30 heavyweight, which Chris Arreola isn't anymore, that's a different story. I'm just looking at Andy Ruiz's resume, and this isn't to beat up on him, but guys, what's outside of the upset of the century against Anthony Joshua? Okay, outside of that, what's his best win? Alexander Dimitrenko coming off a loss, an ancient Kevin Johnson coming off a loss, Franklin Lawrence, an ancient Ray Austin, a really ancient Sergey Liakovich, who had lost 3 of his last 4 coming into that fight. I mean, honestly, what's his best win outside of that? He really is, to date, so far, a one-hit wonder. And if you look at Chris Arreola, I'm going back to 2012, where his record is 4 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest over his last 10, dating all the way back to 2012. So that's him over the last decade. His wins were against journeymen. He has lost to, not the best fighters. I mean, he lost to Adam Kovnachi in his last fight in 2019. Pretty decent fighter, obviously. I wouldn't call him elite. He lost to Wilder in 2016. That fight should have never happened. Obviously, Wilder's a top heavyweight. But the 2 losses to Berman Stavern, a draw with Fred Cassie. I mean, this guy's been done for a long, long time. And this isn't to beat up on Chris Arreola. He's a good guy, great personality. But if you think about it, he was kind of the original Andy Ruiz. He was that underachieving heavyweight who had fast hands, good skills, but just was undisciplined. His weight's been all over the place, right? You go back to when he challenged Vitaly Klitschko for his title, and that was in 2009, guys. That's like the previous era. His best win is probably Jamil McCline, who had lost 3 of his last 4 coming into that fight. Some of you younger guys watching this, you won't even know who Jamil McCline is because he's not of this generation. He's from the previous era. That's probably Chris Arreola's best win. So obviously this is a money grab and everything else. They'll go pay-per-view. Here's my beef with all of it. There are some of you out there, because of your political alliances and your agendas and everything else, that will go to great lengths to spin this Fox pay-per-view card and defend it and try to promote it, and you're just enabling this bullshit. And most of you that are going to do that won't even buy the fucking pay-per-view. You will stream it. You know damn well I'm telling the truth. You will undermine the best show that we have on paper so far this year in May on ESPN, and you will try to prop up this PBC on Fox pay-per-view card. Mind you, this is, I believe, the 4th pay-per-view from PBC post-pandemic, okay? Tens of millions of people have lost their jobs or at least had their pay significantly reduced. Maybe your insurance has gone up, or there's all sorts of different things people are dealing with right now. And this is the 4th pay-per-view post-pandemic, man. None of these events have belonged on pay-per-view. None of these fights were pay-per-view worthy. But this card, this isn't even pay-per-view worthy in this watered-down era, right? In the 1990s, this would have not even been a main event on like HBO Boxing After Dark or something like that. Not at this level anyway. Again, you go 5-6 years back, yeah, maybe, okay, but not right now. It certainly shouldn't be on pay-per-view. So my issue is going to be with the hypocrites that are more interested in the fact that Chris Arreola, Andy Ruiz are probably going to make more money than Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. And yes, some of it's because they're heavyweights. Some of it's because, the Chris Arreola is a bit of a name. Andy Ruiz built up a little bit of a name with his win against Anthony Joshua. I get all that. But the biggest reason they might make more money is because it's going to go to pay-per-view. And there are 50,000 of you fight degenerates out there. And hey, I'm a fellow fight degenerate, okay? I'm not judging anybody, but there are enough of you out there that are going to spend the $80 or whatever it is to buy this card. And that's going to be enough money to pay these guys, with a little bit of foreign TV money from Mexico and everything. They'll come out, and they'll make a little bit of money. And you fanagers, you pocket watchers, you pecker checkers on YouTube, you're going to be talking about that more than the damn fights. I just can't understand that. I can't understand why we live in this space right now. And a guy like me that just tells you the damn truth about it, I get labeled all sorts of nasty things. I'm not rooting against PBC on Fox, okay? I'm not rooting against, this isn't an anti-PBC video, but it is the truth. I'm not exaggerating, I'm not making anything up. It is true that of the big three promoters here in the United States, they are the only one to do a pay-per-view show post-pandemic, and they've done 4 of them now, and there are more coming later this year. That's not cool. They are not taking care of you, the fan. Meanwhile, again, you got Lomachenko Lopez that was on regular ESPN last year. Now you're going to get Taylor and Ramirez on regular ESPN. That's an important fight. And then when you consider the fact that Teofimo Lopez, who knows what's going to happen between him and Top Rank? That's all in flux. I get it. Talk about pocket watchers. There's a lot of you that are more excited about that purse bid thing than any of these damn fights, which is really hard for me to understand. But should Teofimo Lopez, whether he sticks with Top Rank or not, he's eventually going to go up to 140. And it makes a lot of sense for him at some point, whether it's later this year or at some point next year, to fight the winner between Taylor and Ramirez. So this is a fight in an event with legs that's going to lead to more significant fights. And at some point, both the winner and loser of the fight between Taylor and Ramirez are going to move up to 147. And 147 is where Terrence Crawford fights. So at some point, these guys are going to be in line to fight Terrence Crawford. So there are so many fight possibilities that this builds to, right? Meanwhile, you look over at the heavyweight fight. And again, it's going to be fun. These two guys are going to show up. They're going to be flabby, a little chubby, and they're going to beat the shit out of each other. There's going to be a lot of punches thrown, a lot of punches landed. There's going to be blood. There's going to be bruises and bumps. It's going to be a fun fight to watch, but it means absolutely nothing of relevance in the big picture of the heavyweight landscape right now. Nothing. If Andy Ruiz beats Chris Arreola, which he will, it doesn't matter. He's not ready to go right into a title shot from that or anything else. This is basically just a stay busy, money-making type of thing, which is cool. But why is it got to go pay-per-view? Why not put this on regular Fox, where I think it would really do a rating? I really do believe that if they put this on regular Fox, this would do a rating and further help build Andy Ruiz's brand. And if Andy Ruiz is in a really exciting heavyweight slugfest with an ancient Chris Arreola, the casual fans see it, well, then you can market a fight between Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. Now, maybe that one you want to put on Fox pay-per-view. It just doesn't make sense what's going on over there right now, man. And they're not the only ones that are making questionable decisions. All promoters are hypocrites. All of them do stupid things here and there, okay? I'm not trying to say this is all one-sided, but how the hell do you defend this? And how are some of you out there going to spin this to try to make this a positive while undermining and shitting on an event that is going to completely unify the junior welterweight division? Last year, you got a complete unification of the 135-pound division. The only people that screwed that up was the WBC with their franchise belt nonsense. We all know who the legitimate lightweight champ is. In just a few months, we're going to know who the legitimate junior welterweight champ is. That's the way it's supposed to work. There are over 100 world titles in boxing right now. If you include the interim, gold, diamond, the I don't give a fuck titles. There are over 100 world titles in professional boxing right now. We should be getting unification fights every single month in the sport of boxing. We don't. It's rare. But some of you are going to be more interested in chasing purses and pay-per-view numbers and buys and who's playing chess versus who's playing checkers and all this bullshit instead of looking at who's putting on the fights right now. And it's not to say that in 3-4 years it might flip and suddenly Top Rank is putting out shit and another promoter steps up and they're putting out the best fights. But right now, the people servicing the fans the most are the people putting together these unification matches. Later on, May 8th, later on in the spring, you guys are going to get a unification at 168 between Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. And is that the fight I'd want to see most? No, I'd rather see Canelo fight David Benavidez or Dimitri Bivol or somebody like that. But all things considered, that is a unification fight between two of the top five, between the legitimate super middleweight champion and the top five super middleweight challenger. And that's going to be on regular DAZN. If you subscribe to DAZN, which you should, you probably are if you are a diehard fight fan, then that fight's free. You're not going to pay $80 to watch a guy who's 40 years old, been over the hill forever, and a guy who's coming off a bad loss in a year-plus long layoff. That's crazy, man. So I just need to vent about that. Go ahead and have fun with it, fanagers. Do all what you do. Make all your videos and then talk all your shit and throw all those labels out there. But we all know you're streaming that shit. You ain't paying for that pay-per-view. You're not helping. You're part of the problem.